Meow. Right, we are recording on all platforms, and I believe it is your intro, even.
It sure is my intro. Yeah. So let's get that out of the way for legs. Doesn't really matter for the live stream, I guess, but
That's true.
yeah. Well, where are my notes? Oh, here they are. Okay, cool. On this episode of This is Game Boy, Batman does use guns.
It's true. He uses guns in the movies. Not
Yeah.
maliciously, but
Mm-hmm. But usually he does not use guns, so
it's true.
yeah. And technically he doesn't in this one either, but we'll get into that later, I guess. Well, whatever. All right, let's get this one going. Uh, like we do have time before the next thing over here starts, but
Yeah,
let's get it over with anyways.
1 p.m. until the next Scathlon reveal, so...
Yeah. We'll be long done before that for sure. But yeah, hello everybody. Welcome back to a brand new episode of This is Game Boy. Another one that we are recording live on RGL TV. So everybody watching us right now, welcome. Say hello in the chat if you want to. Yeah, we're back after a little bit. I don't know when we recorded the last one.
About a month ago.
Yeah, I think it actually has been a month since the last one. But yeah, we're back. Last time we didn't do it live because we couldn't, because I think there was something else going on RGL at that point. But so yeah, we're live again, so you can actually see us doing this, or see us on YouTube later on when this episode gets uploaded. So usually we just go through this with what we have been up to, but I literally haven't done anything.
I've done stuff though.
So I don't know. Like I played a little bit of Mega Man Legends, and that's it. Like maybe an hour or two the past month. And
Mega Man Legends, so
yeah, I love that game, and I saw somebody else play it, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I want to play it again. So I did. Well, for a little bit. Maybe a little bit more later, but yeah, for me, it's still the same as I said last time. Like my life is changing, so I just don't have that much time for video games anymore. It later on there will be more time again, but right now I just can't be bothered to do it, and I don't have the need to do it either. Like I'm a busy person, so with better things than playing video games all day. So yeah, I haven't done anything like that at all. And more very fun changes are coming up very shortly for me, which is something I'm really excited about. So that's cool, at least. But yeah,
that's awesome.
It doesn't really reflect on anything for the podcast, of course, which is a podcast about video games. And if you're not playing video games, that's not very useful information, I guess. So yeah, that's my part. I played a little bit of Mega Man Legends. There we go. Oh, what have you been up to?
So the new WoW Classic patch came out on Thursday. So obviously I've been going hard into WoW Classic again. But beyond that, I recently just replayed through Batman, the game that we're going to be talking about today.
Right.
And I played through Batman and Robin on the Sega Genesis, which, by the way, that's a game. Let's see, what else did I do? I've watched all the Batman movies for the podcast. Boy, did I forget how bad George Clooney was as Batman. And what else have I been doing? Oh, I went to GDQ, obviously. Really didn't talk about that at all. Well, I guess we don't even do that late that much anymore. But that's another conversation we have later on. But yeah, I went to GDQ. GDQ was great. I got to see a bunch of old friends that I haven't gotten to see in the last 3 or 4 years. Got to meet. I finally got to put faces to names. So I
Mhm.
finally got to meet Flannel Cat and all them at GDQ. So that was pretty awesome. Been wanting to meet them for a while, and we did like a little nest block thing as well too at GDQ. Just group of NES runners that do a little mini marathon, so to speak, at GDQ. That was a good time. I think I did Caveman Games, Where's Waldo, and The Little Mermaid.
Okay.
So it was it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Definitely I don't take vacation very much from work. So I was like, all right, taking a vacation for the first time in like since COVID. And
Mhm.
I was definitely wore out socially. Like mentally, I was pretty wore out by the end of it, just because like
Right.
I haven't been that social since 2019. The last GDQ I went to before that, so it was awesome. It was draining, but it was very cool to see the some of the newer GDQ staff, put into play and kind of see what the future of GDQ is bit to bring. And
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm pretty optimistic about them, honestly. I have my gripes, about GDQ, but everyone's gonna have gripes about something. So, but I think GDQ is on a very good path right now of expanding, growing, getting cool sponsors. Their setups recently have been, physical setups have been much better than what they were when I used to run on GDQ. Now they actually have like dedicated like runner chairs and actual like
Nice.
dedicated like chairs for like the commentators now, and not just these hard as hell like the hotel chairs that you sit in every day and have no padding in them. And yeah, they're actually they're putting a lot more focus on the stage appearance and the runner comfort, it seems like now, which is absolutely fantastic. Something that needed to be done back in 2016 when I ran Dreamland with True Shade and Proto. So, um, been a long time coming. But yeah, I know the event was awesome. The only thing I think my biggest gripe with the event was so much not with the actual event itself, but just like I think it was the second night we were there. Guy Gets Blues, myself, and I think a couple of Starman maybe. We were sitting there. We were watching someone play Wayne's World's Super Nintendo. We were watching the person practice in the practice room, and I was just being me, and I put on Wayne's World Game Boy and put in a bunch of the Easter eggs into that Wayne's face is like jump all over the screen, just being one of those people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it's like 2 in the morning, and this kid in front of us like collapsed. We're just like, oh, holy shit! Like, what the hell just happened?
Okay.
Come to find out, like apparently he was like dehydrated, like didn't eat the entire day, just spent his entire day at GDQ, playing games and hanging out with people. And I'm like, you're maximizing time, bud, but like, man, you need to take care of yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the problems is that they have water jugs out there, but like since they're sponsored by Red Bull, they very
Mhm.
heavily promote Red Bull. And like when I went to go get checked in, like one of the people asked me like, "Hey, do you want a Red Bull?" I'm like, no, I do not want a Red Bull at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No, thank you. But there's Red Bull tanks, kind of spread out all over. You can ask a staff member for Red Bull. Like it was just like you could just get fed Red Bull, and
Right.
it's not great for you, mind you. It doesn't matter
It
if it's
is
sugar
definitely
free or
not.
not. It's not great for you. So one of my probably my biggest gripes is just like the lack of attention to maybe health for people. And and like if you if you would ask me or said anything mentioning that back in like 2019, I would have called you an idiot. But like now that I'm nearly 36, I kind of think about that stuff a bit more. And I'm just like, man, like, yeah, there was like nothing healthy at GDQ in terms of like refreshments or taking care of yourself or anything. And I get that, it's an organization. Like they're not going to sit there and babysit you and make sure you eat and drink water. But also at the same time, you shouldn't be feeding just people Red Bull without knowing if they have a reaction to it or not.
Mhm,
So,
mhm. Yeah.
yeah, it's what it is. But I've been doing. So I did. Obviously, I did a bunch of that stuff. Gygus was cool. Fun to hang out with him per usual. He gave me some Shin-Chan swag. It's sitting back there on the shelf right now. I got an Action Bastard figure from him. With Shin dressed up as Action Bastard as well. So
Yeah, I saw the pictures of that. That's
yeah,
really
it's
like
so
really cool.
cool. So
Mhm.
cool. Um, yeah, played some games with Infinite Mystery. I played Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo for the first time ever with Infinite Mystery. So it was cool. It was
That's
fun.
awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Beyond that, for video game wise, I did Grimace's birthday, the unlicensed Game Boy Color homebrew for McDonald's.
Oh, right.
Um,
I forgot
the
about it. Yeah.
the newest addition to the unlicensed homebrew scene. It's incredibly short. Has a small story to it, but it's incredibly short. But man, it's super fun, and the music in it has no right being as good as it is. The music in
Okay.
it is way too good for what it should be. Um, but I threw some speedruns at that. I was top 10 for a while, and then apparently the developer said, "Hey, you can do a bunch of stuff here." And like you can apparently skip levels and skip things like that with,
Ah,
and then now like the game is down to like 3 minutes. So,
that's
um,
literally nothing.
yeah. So, but super fun game. I highly recommend checking out. Like it's a web based game. You can also get the ROMs for it as well too. It got rebuilt in Game Boy Studio 3. So you can
Mhm.
actually get the GBC or the GB ROMs for the game. So highly
That's
recommend
always
checking
good.
it out. It's pretty fun. It's more fun than it should be. Let's just say that. Um, and I also played Little Mermaid on Game Boy as well too. It pretty much I kind of in prep for the Conot we did yesterday. So yesterday on RGL we did the Little Mermaid NES any percent one night only tournament, which Infinite and I put on and commentated yesterday. So and we had 8 runners in that, so we had 7 rounds of Little Mermaid. Um, Crazy good races, awesome runners all around. So that was a super fun time. So my voice is a little jank today from talking about that all day and now going into the podcast today. So
Yeah. That's always rough on the voice.
yeah,
And meanwhile, it's also still Heatwave City everywhere.
it's hot here.
It's ridiculous. Like this is, I think, the warmest day that we've had in 2 weeks, or this at least the second uh, hottest day. And thank God it's the final one. Now it will go back down to normal temperatures like 24, 25 Celsius, which is perfectly fine for this time of year. But it has been like 30 for 2 weeks, and everybody is like tired because of the lack of sleep and getting cranky, and it hasn't been a fun time at all. Like even at work, like for some reason the previous director got rid of all the air conditioning on the first floor, which is
Nice.
where I am. I mean, it has to do with like the whole COVID thing, of course, because like you couldn't use it back then, and
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was just wasting money. But they got rid of it completely. So yeah, now it's just not fun sitting there all day. Let me just tell you. Like one day, I even had a migraine attack because of the heat, uh,
Oof.
just in the building. So yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, our power grid has been suffering pretty hard here because it's been very hot and humid where I am.
Yeah.
So when I was at work Friday, someone a transformer popped, and I was in the middle of setting up workstations, and I walked into like the big conference room, which is the only room in the office that doesn't get organic light from the outside. And as soon as I walked into
Mm,
that room, the power went out. So it was literally like a horror movie. Like you just hear this, Boo, like all the lights go down, then all this beeping and like sirens going off because like all the batteries and the fire alarms going off and everything else. It was literally like a horror movie. It was pretty awesome. I was ready. I've watched enough horror movies to know what to do. So it was pretty cool. But it was also almost like, oh great. But that means the ACs get turned off because there's no power, which means now I'm
Yep.
literally like cooking basically in the office. So it's like I'm just like drenched in sweat, like trying to set up computers and stuff. And that was pretty miserable. Like I was telling Ed right before we went live, I was like, one of two things could happen. I could lose internet, which has been pretty consistent, or I lose power because someone blew a transformer from the air conditioner going on. So
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. It's been too much. Like, it can stop now for the rest of the year. Thank
it
you,
can.
please.
It rained here last night, so it's not as bad outside, but
Yeah,
it'll get bad again.
we had one day of rain earlier this week, which was a godsend, to be honest. Like, it was one day I could sleep well. But like last weekend, I was supposed to go to a festival, but I knew from last year there was another heat wave during that festival, but then it was like 36 degrees Celsius. Everybody was like, "Never in my life am I doing that again because it's just not fun." Like there's no shade anywhere on the festival grounds. If you go into like the tents or marquees where the stages are, it's even worse. You do not get any sleep there either. So I was only gonna go for one day. I mean, like that's more than enough for me. I'm too old to spend 4 days in a tent at a festival. Um, but yeah, it was like, yeah, it's gonna be 30, and I was like, nope, I'm not going. Like, I'm not gonna have any fun there.
No,
So I went to the beach instead, which helped a
you know,
lot because it was like only 22 degrees there. So that was a very very good substitute for not going to the festival. Yeah.
it's crazy how we get older. We're just like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're done.
Yeah, like it's just not fun. Like
No, like if
from
I was in
from
my
noon till
20s,
midnight.
yeah, if I was in my 20s, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it. But yeah,
Yeah.
not
Oh
anymore.
yeah. Yeah. Getting too old for that shit.
Yeah, way too old.
Uh, Speaking of getting too old for some shit, which yeah, no, actually, it has nothing to do with it. But so people who have been following us might have noticed that there hasn't been a light episode in between the previous one and this one. That is basically because we decided, for one reason, we really do not have much time anymore on our hands to do it. And the other reason is like it's sometimes very hard to come up with IDs for a light.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we really play a little game that's like, okay, we can talk about this on our own. We don't need to talk with two people about it. But as we have been playing less as well, we do not come across that many games like that anymore. And we're kind of getting through the library as well, basically. Like, okay, I'm like 510 games in or something. That's still a lot to go, of course, but yeah, we decided, look, we were just gonna spend the time that we do have to record these ones uh, on the actual episodes. Because we were also trying to do it live and we have to look at the schedule of RGL. For starters, we have to look at our own schedule. It's just easier to plan for us to make one big episode. And if we do ever find the need to talk about something on our own, we will record a light because we don't have to schedule around anybody else in that matter. Like we can just do it when we have the time, of course. So yeah, from now on out, there will be no scheduled light episodes anymore. We might still do some later on, but for now, we're just gonna do the main episodes once a month, hopefully.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. We did it.
We did it.
It's still under 20-minute intro. Look at that.
Yeah. And I still haven't had to use my bathroom towel. I'm still holding on when I'm sweating. My voice is going away. I can already tell.
I had to
Just
turn.
because my throat is so dry. Blah.
I had to turn the AC off before recording, otherwise Legs would have gotten mad from all the background noise.
Yeah, I turned off my fan here as well. So, but yeah, I can feel it getting hotter because I also had to turn on the lights, which is not fun. Plus, there's two screens in front of me, blowing heat into my face. So it's fun.
Only two screens.
Yeah, the
Oh,
one is like
okay.
really big, and it's my DVD on the screen, which is pretty big. So yeah, it's my T-shirt is sticking to my extremely hot body,
There you
and
go.
I mean that's in hot as in temperature. Because come on, no,
All right.
somebody might disagree with that statement. Well, let's not get into that. Yeah, let's get into the game of this month, let's say, or this episode, which is, of course, you've already heard, Batman, the video game for Game Boy. So, right after this short break with amazing music from this game, we'll be right back to talk about it.
True. Man. Why'd I turn that down? Jesus. I can never know like how loud the Sofa music is going to be because sometimes it's quiet and sometimes it's just ear piercing.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how good the title screen was for this game with the music.
Yeah, everything. Like, it's such an amazing soundtrack. Those were the days.
Whoever owns the rights to like this stuff now should release a Batman collector legacy collection.
Sure.
All right, limited run games, get on with it.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically have the rights to Sunsoft, but I guess Batman is not part of that, though. That's probably just Warner Brothers or whatever.
Yeah, that's an interesting predicament. Wouldn't it be like, well, we made the game, but you have to license, so
Yeah, licensed Batman, so
pause. All right. Oh boy, here we go. All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that title song from Batman. I was telling Mo during break the Batman music is I forgot how good it was. And I literally just played the game. But yeah, Batman, or rather Batman the video game, was released April 13th, 1990, in Japan as just Batman. And then June 1990 in the US and in Europe in 1990 sometime as Batman the video game. Developed and published by Sunsoft, so you know the OST is probably gonna be slapping pretty good. Composer is God, we love Japanese names around here. Naoki, is that Naoki Kodaka?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh my, I'm so good at Japanese names. We can thank them for such hits as Batman. Is that for the NES? Yep, Batman for the NES. Journey to Silius, which if you've all never heard the OST to Journey to Silius, after the episode today, definitely go check that one out. Batman Return of the Joker, which I thought the OST for that was actually pretty good. Spy Hunter, they definitely have been around the Sunsoft hotness for a while. So
Yeah, Blaster Master, Fester's Quest, Gremlins 2, the new batch, all those tracks that you probably can think of when it comes to Sunsoft music. They definitely had a hand in it somehow.
this is an action platformer with a couple of shoot 'em up stages.
Mm-hmm.
So a multi-genre video game, even so some would call it.
Kinda, yeah. You can call it that maybe. It's
There's
mainly an action
it is
platformer.
mostly a platformer, yeah.
Mhm. Um, yeah, the plot, the plot described in the booklet is like basically the plot of the movie. Even though you're playing through the movie, kind of. So it's kind of weird that they written down literally everything that happens in the movie, especially because they're referencing people that don't even appear in the video game. It's dumb, but whatever. It's tying to the Batman movie, of course.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll just go over it real quick. What's in the manual? Gotham City. It's a dark city governed by crime and violence. The whole town is now in preparation for its 200th anniversary festival. Suddenly, the Joker, the city's master of evil, appears, spreading DDYD nerve gas. I have no idea what DDYD is, but some kind of nerve gas, plunging Gotham City into complete terror and chaos. Meanwhile, Vicky Vale, a shrewd photojournalist tracking the gas business scandal, is kidnapped with key information in her hands. Then, from nowhere appears a man with a mysterious black cape who rescues Vicky. Her life was saved. Who on earth could this dark figure be? It was... well, it's Batman. This is his video game, of course it's Batman. As a child, he saw his parents lose their lives at the hand of an unidentified criminal. He has grown to be a man of justice who fights criminals to avenge his parents' deaths. Now, while fighting with the Joker, Batman recalls memories of his childhood and identifies him as the evil criminal who robbed his parents of their lives. It is the festival day of Gotham City's 200th anniversary, and the final fight is just about to start between Batman and the Joker. So, I mean, that's not even completely the movie. Like, I don't know. It's a weird transcript of things that happens. But in the game, you actually create a Joker as well, like it happened in the movie. So I don't know. This is just some plot that somebody has written down that has not much to do
They
with the
they
game,
they
to be
they
honest.
watched Batman at face value, didn't fully understand what was happening, wrote a plot summary of it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I think it's the same for the NES version of this game. Well, you cannot call it version.
They're
Like
very
the cool,
different games.
yeah, the cool thing with this licensed Batman, the video game thing, it came out on NES, it came out on Game Boy, it came out on Genesis. All three are like completely
Yeah.
different games, and all three of them are amazing games in their own right. So it's really cool that Sunsoft did not just like made one game and ported it to everything, which wouldn't have ended as well as it did now. They actually put effort into everything. And yeah, you can see that they put effort into this one as well, even though it was still very early in the Game Boy library, like the second year, 1990. So a lot of people will probably look at this game and think like, is this a Batman game? This looks like a Super Mario Land clone or something like that, because it does use that kind of tile sets. It's not what you call it, but like it's very similar to what Super Mario Land did. Like they definitely took that as an inspiration to build this game.
I would say Mario Land was the baseline for these types of games
Yeah,
to start out in a way.
yeah, for sure.
But But yeah, so the game is incredibly simple. The D-pad moves. Batman, A jumps, B shoots. If you hold down to crouch, you can crouch walk left or right, or the duck walk rather,
Hmm.
um, which is actually pretty handy throughout the game. And if you hold if you hold A down, you can shoot forward during the shoot 'em up stages. And if you press B or hold B down, you shoot backwards in the shoot 'em up stages. This game is actually pretty cool where you can shoot both front and back. Incredibly helpful during the shoot 'em up stages as well. Instead of mashing, you can just hold down the buttons and it'll auto fire for you as well.
Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, like we mentioned, this game is jokingly called Bad Gun by literally everybody because it's one of the few Batman games where your main attack is just shooting. But technically, he's not using an actual gun. He's using a spear, the Bat Spear, which has different like power-ups that go with it. But yeah, in other Batman games, you also can use like your fists mainly to do damage. It's what he's mainly using. But in this one, like your only form of attack is using that spear gun. Luckily, there are many upgrades to this spear gun. Um, and
Yeah.
we'll go over them real quick. Um, but the way this game works is there's blocks spread out through all the stages that you can shoot. The black ones, I assume, or more gray ones, or more green ones if you're playing on an actual Game Boy, are the ones that hold items for you, and you can find like weapon upgrades in that. I'll go over the manual for this part. So you start off with your normal weapon, which is also the N pickup, if you can see it in the stages. So Batman is equipped with this weapon from the start of the game. It can be fired a full distance across the screen, but it's not capable of firing through a wall obstacle, so you cannot shoot through walls to take out enemies that way. You can come across the S, which is the shot weapon. The fire range is a lot shorter than the normal weapon, but it can fire faster than the normal weapon. I would avoid this one at all
It's the
times.
worst
I
weapon in
think
the game.
it's really bad. Yeah, like normal weapon is also pretty bad, but it's just your standard weapon, so that makes sense. But the shot weapon, I think, is one of the worst pickups you can do. Usually, they also place it in parts where you kind of quote unquote failed to take the proper path through the stage. So it's kind of a downgrade if you happen to go there and then you have to pick it up and then you're like, oh no, I have the stupid shotgun again. But here's one that you do want, basically, which is the W, which is the wave weapon. This weapon's capable of wave firing through wall-like obstacles and can fire full distance across the screen. It's basically your wave beam from Metroid. It goes a little bit up and down, so it's good to hit enemies that are a little bit above or a little bit below. It's a very cool weapon to have. It's not always super useful, especially not during the final boss fight, in my opinion. But it's a pretty cool weapon that has a lot of spread throughout the stage, so you can take out enemies easily. After that comes the P, which is the power weapon, which is basically an upgraded version of the normal weapon, and it can go through wall-like obstacles. So it's the better normal weapon, and in my opinion, also a pretty good gun. As a standard weapon, it's a pretty good gun actually to have, and I'll come back to the power weapon later in this episode. You also got the Batarang, which is the R for some reason. Like everything started with the letter that the actual
R
description starts with.
R for
Except
batarang, man. You know.
yeah, R for batarang, sure. So this shoots batarangs, and they only travel a short distance, but they will return, so you can hit enemies multiple times with them. And again, it can go through walls, so you can take out enemies from afar that way. Then you have the tranquilizer weapon, which is the T, if you can find it. I think it only shows up once in the game, actually,
I think so
or
too. Well,
maybe twice. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like. It kind of looks like some kind of sound wave that comes out of it. It's super powerful. It's the most powerful weapon in the game. It can fly through all the objects, and it does not like waste a bullet if it hits an enemy. Like it keeps going. So it's a pretty good weapon to have if you can keep it. Um, but that's harder than it sounds, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, maybe I'll go into a little bit more when it comes to the weapons. All of these weapons can be upgraded or downgraded. I don't know if there's a max level. I think there's a different max level for each of the different weapons actually.
Go up to
But there
7.
are, yeah, there are like these two things you can pick up. One is like a white box with a gun in it, or the spear gun in it. The white box will upgrade the weapon one level. The black one will downgrade it. It basically lets you shoot multiple projectiles
Yep.
faster. That's what it does.
The only thing it doesn't apply to is the trank gun.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Again, I can't really hold on to the trank gun a lot, so I never get to use it. But yeah, you can upgrade all these weapons, and especially if you got the batarang weapon or the wave weapon when you have upgraded a bunch, it's very fun to use. But yeah,
Yep.
that's all when it comes to the actual main weapon of this game.
Yeah, and there are plenty of power-ups in this game. Let me tell you what. So like what Mo was just mentioning with the spear up, so it's the white box with the spear in it. You can have these. You can go up to 7 levels with each gun. But the trank gun, it does not matter because the gun's too powerful. Black box with the white spear gun downgrades the weapon. Yeah, something to be careful of as you're playing through the game and breaking these blocks for these items. Some of these items that they'll put in front of you are going to be items like the spear downgrade or the shot weapon or something like that, like something you absolutely just do not want. And you either have to say the hell with it and just take it, or somehow finagle your way around the power up. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna take it and deal with it. So,
Mm,
um, so like knowing where the things are, like second, third playthroughs and stuff like that, or if you're speed running the game, is definitely a need in terms of that. So, then we have the Batwing. This flies around Batman and protects him from enemy fire, and you can possess up to 4 of these. They disappear every time Batman takes damage, and you can get these little things that look like a pill, and they're called faster Batwings. So what that does is that it makes the Batwings around Batman rotate faster.
mhm, mhm.
There's another thing called a smoke bullet, which they don't show up all too often, but they do show up once in a while. It's just basically a screen clear. You grab it, it kills everything on the screen. And then it wouldn't be a retro game without points. So we gotta have points. So there are B icons called bonus tokens, which gives you 5,000 bonus points. And I believe after you've gotten 100,000 points, you get an extra life.
I
So
have literally no clue.
yeah, after you get so many points, you actually do get an extra life. So the bonus points, even though you're probably not going to go out of your way to collect them, they do serve a little bit of a purpose.
Right.
And then you have the heart icon, which gives you 1 increment of life in your life gauge. So in the game Batman, if you're watching this live or on YouTube right now, you can see that in the top right-hand corner next to the X4 is a little gauge there. And even though they don't have it segmented out in increments, it does come out in little chunks. So one of those hearts, fills in one of those chunks missing. And then we have the Batman head, which, well, gives you an additional Batman, gives you an extra life. So,
Yeah. There are actually plenty of those to find throughout the stages.
there are
And
a
not even
lot of extra lives.
yeah, not even hidden very well.
No.
I mean, they're usually very easy to get to, so
When
you
I
can take advantage of it.
when I played this last weekend actually. I between extra lives from points and just finding the extra lives in the stages, I think I ended up fighting the final Joker fight with I think like 11 extra lives. So
Yeah, it's easy to get them. But have no fear, this game also offers unlimited continue, so even if you do run out of lives, it's not that bad. The only
well,
issue with continues is that it puts you back at the very first stage of the current chapter, I guess you can call it. So, uh,
well,
depending on which one you're in, it
there's
might
there's
put you
two
back at the
big
start.
issues with having to continue. You start out at the start of the world again. So if you're on world 4, you go back to 4-1. The biggest issue is you lose your gun.
No, you
So
don't. No, you don't.
you
You can
do.
actually no, you can actually keep it, which is actually a good way if you know where the upgrades are to like die and just get the upgrade again and over and over until you get the strongest one.
Huh, I don't remember keeping my gun when I came over.
I do because I died at 4-2 700 times again last time I played. So,
Oh, 4
so
2.
yeah.
What an easy stage.
What an easy stage. So yeah, I
with the
I vividly remember keeping the guns.
with
Yeah.
the correct gun, what an easy stage.
Hmm.
But yeah, speaking of stages, let's get into them. So the game is broken out into 4 different worlds, and world 1-1 is like we've always mentioned before. It's your introductory stage to the game. Basically teaches you that hey, there's stuff to shoot to get items. There's enemies to shoot that are getting in your way. Um, Jump on platforms, don't die type deal. Just teaches you the basics of what Batman has to offer. Um, I just closed the manual.
Well, there's not much in it, but Area One of Stage One is called Gotham City because you're just in the city. But yeah, that's your very typical first stage with not that many hazards to deal with, just teaching you the mechanics.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, going into 1, 2, you get to the Axis Chemical Factory, so it's a little bit more platforming, a little bit more tight corridors here and there, but it's still nothing
The the
too
big
special, really.
the big thing to know. So like if you've ever played Super Mario Land 1, you know how floaty the controls can be with Mario. Batman is very, very similar to this as well
Mhm.
too. Batman is pretty floaty when jumping onto these platforms. So take that into consideration whenever you're going for the big jump. The platforms themselves never pose much of a problem. They don't really go out of your range, so to speak. But in typical retro fashion, though, floaty controls typically means you overcorrect yourself and you'll just fall into a pit.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yeah, it's not Castlevania style where it's a dedicated jump, luckily.
yeah,
But it is sometimes hard to control once Batman is in the air. Because you do have control. It's just like you're not used to having the control or something like that because you're moving so fast, and then when you try to correct yourself, you're usually gonna end up in a pit. So it's best to just jump at the correct time instead of trying to finagle your way to a platform.
yep, 100%. Then after that, we go into the boss area, which the first fight is Jack Napier, not Joker yet. You can fight pre-Joker, so to speak. So if you don't know the story
Mhm.
behind Jack Napier, is that he used to work for, I believe, it was the CIA in the chemistry department, and when he was released, he stole the file for the DDID nerve gas agent, and was going to use that on Gotham. So
Yeah, and he was well in the Batman movies, working for like another criminal. I don't remember who, but whatever. Then he kills
yeah,
him,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's. I mean, go watch that movie. It's the best Batman movie there
But
is.
it's
So come
it
on.
has Michael Keaton in it, so it's by
Yeah.
far the best Batman.
Right. Yeah.
Just go watch the first two Batmans, Batman and Batman Returns. Maybe the Val Kilmer one too. Val Kilmer was okay.
He was okay, but forgettable. That's
don't watch the George Clooney one though. That was just awful.
Unless you just want to have a fun time,
it's so bad. Oh man, I said, I recently just rewatched it. I was just like, oh right, Chris O'Donnell, forgot he was a person, and then and I was just like, oh, Poison Ivy, right, Rubber Lips, forgot about that stuff. Then you get Arnold Schwarzenegger that are making the world's dumbest Frost puns you can possibly imagine, and oh god, the movie was just so bad. So and George Clooney doesn't change his voice at all. So like
nope.
Bruce Wayne and Batman, same voice. Like that, he doesn't even try at all. I'm just like, dude, this is great. They got Alicia Silverstone just magically appearing to be Batgirl, and it's like that's the last time you ever hear anything from her because she never appears in another Batman movie again. And it's just like, what is happening with this franchise after George Clooney took a hold of it? Oh god. And I like Christian Bale, but like even his Batman voice is just bad. Like hot take. Like most people like the Christian Bale Batman movies, and mind you, like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies are good. Like story wise, I think they're good. But Christian Bale as Batman, I just don't think he's a very good I think he's a good Bruce Wayne, but I think he's a terrible Batman. His Batman voice is awful.
It's true.
And don't get me started about Tom Hardy playing Bane. Like that voice is even dumber. So I
mean, oh man. Look, if you like good Batman movies, just go watch the animated movies. At least.
Oh my god, the animated series Batman is so good. It's dark. They are
also good.
It's dark, very well voice acted. Mark Hamill is the Joker. Like it's so good. Oh my god, the animated Batman movies and show has no right being as good as it is.
Right.
So,
yeah. And now I forgot it. Jensen Ackles did Batman.
Oh yeah,
for the last one I saw, and he did a really good job as well.
The newest Batman movie with what's his name, Rob Pattinson or whatever the Twilight guy name is.
Pattinson.
Yeah,
yes,
he did a nice job. I thought the new Batman was quite good.
Yeah, it was very well done. Yeah, indeed. And same with Ben Affleck. He was also good, but the script was just.
I thought I was
like it's not Affleck's fault.
I'm not a big Ben Affleck fan. I like him in a couple of movies like Chase and Amy and stuff like that, but I was pretty hesitant on wanting him to be Batman, but I thought overall he did Batman okay. It's just the writers did just an awful job with his Batman takes. So
yeah.
Well, there's our movie tangent now.
Yeah, back to the boss fight with Jack Napier, played by God damn it, I want Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. Yeah.
Somehow I got Nicolas Cage stuck in my head, but whatever. That would have been
god,
a wild Joker.
Nicolas Cage as the Joker. Oh man, that would have been wild.
It would have been awesome.
I don't know if he would have been a good Joker, but man, he'd be a good Batman villain.
True, yeah.
I don't know who he'd play, but I don't know who he'd play, but he'd be a great villain.
Victor Sass or something like that. like the worst psychopath or something. Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going into stage 2 or world 2, whatever you want to call area 2. Where we're still in Gotham City, plowing through the bad guys. 2-1. So that the first 2 worlds aren't too dangerous to you in terms of potentially game overing. maybe in terms of like the pits you might fall into, but in terms of like stage difficulty, it's not that bad. Like the first two
Mhm.
worlds in terms of stage difficulty are pretty tame. Um, so again, you're just going through Gotham. The name of the game on this one now is, now that you know that the darker blocks hold power ups and weapon upgrades. Now it's, you need to like find these power upgrades, find these points, and start upgrading your weapon, because now enemies are going to start taking more than just one bullet to die or to get killed or whatever we want to call it now. Some of these enemies are going to take multiple bullets, and the more power up you have to your gun, the more bullets you can shoot at any given time. It doesn't power up the strength of the gun, but it does power up the amount of bullets that you can put onto the screen,
Yeah.
which will be helpful, especially if you can get a gun that can shoot through walls. Um, as you can preemptively shoot through a wall, kill an enemy, and then jump over the pit, not worry about Batman taking damage. So it's definitely something to take into consideration when playing through Area 2. After that, you go into the, oh god, Flugelheim?
Yeah, Flugelheim.
Flugelheim. Flugelheim Museum. And then here, this is where a lot of your platformer and moving platforms come into play. At the very end of the stage of 2-2 is a section of moving platforms where you have to shoot out the door. We didn't mention this before. So at the end of the stage, there's a door for the exit that doesn't automatically open. It's closed, and you have to shoot it open
Yeah.
with your spear. We don't talk about that, but it's kind of a given thing. But at the end of 2-2, the door is closed, so you have to shoot the door out before you kind of jump into the exit. Otherwise, Batman just falls to his death. Um, so, and with that, again, it's like the final jump in 2-2 looks scarier than it actually is, because you can
Mhm.
hug against the wall and just go into the exit. um I know some games don't allow for that easily to be done, but Batman very much allows for that, for being, and the reason it works so well is because, well, he's floaty, so that's why it works so
Yeah.
well for that. And then we go into Area 3, which is still the museum itself. There is no boss fight for Area 2,
Right.
which is great, fantastic. Um, the problem now is we go into the shoot 'em up. So you go from a pretty relaxed platformer and whatnot, where you don't have to like really mash buttons at all or do much of anything. It's just casual platforming, to the shoot 'em up stages.
Hmm. Yeah, and these are surprisingly not that easy. Um, there's a lot of enemies coming your way at all times. Luckily, you can hold down the shoot button.
Yep.
I say button because you can't hold down both of them at the same time. Like we mentioned earlier, you can shoot backwards and forwards with the Batwing. Is it called the Batwing? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's the Batwing. Yeah, but yeah, you can only do it in one direction. So you can only hold down A or hold down B. The speed at which you shoot is pretty okay. Most enemies do die in one hit, except for like the mini bosses and a lot of bosses that will appear throughout the two stages that you will be playing a shoot 'em up. You can still only take 4 hits. Like we didn't really mention that, but your health bar it's 4 hits. So luckily there's that. It's not a shoot 'em up where you die in one hit because that would have made this
More
probably
hard,
impossible.
more hard.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of things coming your way. They come from behind you, in front of you, and from the bottom as well when they're launching missiles at you. Um, at the end of the first stage, you get to fight this weird satellite boss thing that opens up. Like, it doesn't really fit as a Batman thing to fight. It looks like something from R-Type, or I don't know. Like it's a very weird thing, and it does take a lot of hits to take these bosses down, uh, which is the big problem, trying to survive throughout the stages. Um, When you go into the second part, you're flying through the festival basically because there's all these balloons in the air that you actually have to dodge. You cannot shoot those. And this particular stage also offers two bosses. First, there's a plane that's starting to chase you, and then there's the helicopter, which is very annoying if I'm thinking about the right boss, actually, because it launches these missiles that you have to dodge in a pattern, and you cannot really hit him a lot during that time. So this is a boss fight that can take a lot of time and practice. And sadly, if you game over, do go back to 3-1 if you're in 3-2. So that's not fun. So yeah, it's a nice breakup from the normal platforming stages. Uh, but they made the shmup section maybe a little too hard, in my opinion.
Well, the reason it's too hard is because it doesn't drop any health.
True, yeah, you
So
cannot get any health
when you're
back.
in the
So
when you're in the shmup sections, there is no way of getting health back. So if you take a bunch of damage in the just normal stage and then go into the boss fight with one hit point of health, like that's all you're getting. So
mhm,
it's a
mhm.
lot of understanding. It's a lot of knowing and precision flying, honestly, to not take so much damage while going through the stages.
Yeah.
The shmup stages, although like for the most part, compared to like an actual shmup game, easy. Um, it's very easy to take damage in these stages as well. So
Mhm, mhm.
um, that's the big problem. And like what Mo was mentioning, like the satellite in 3-1 is pretty simple. It does do like a bullet dump in front of it, but like you shouldn't
Mhm.
be directly in front of it. Like let's be fair. But like 3-2, you fight two different bosses. You fight the shredder airplane. I call it the shredder airplane because the front of it looks like the shredder helmet from Turtles.
Okay.
Um, which is an incredibly easy fight because it just shoots a couple bullets at you and then kind of charges at you and goes back and does just rinse and repeat. The helicopter, however, is if you're going to die in 3-2, that's where you're going to die.
Mhm.
Because the helicopter does a line of bullets in front of it, and then they shoot off and they home into Batman's last known location. And
Yeah.
it's really hard to shoot the helicopter in that sense because you're dodging bullets while shooting through a bullet wall. And then it's a multi-phase fight. So once you've done so much damage to the helicopter is then it's going to shoot off four different projectiles that go into the corner of the screen. And what
Right, yeah,
and
yeah.
those are going to shoot bullets at Batman while the helicopter is shooting a big missile into the middle of the screen that then breaks off into multiple bullets. There's very little real estate on the screen that allows Batman to not take damage during this section.
Mhm, mhm.
I call that part of the fight the race to the finish. So because either
Yeah.
you're going to die or the helicopter's going to die. So
Yeah, it's a very tough boss fight to
yeah,
put in that section, especially because it's two of them right after each other.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And they take way too many hits to
Way too
take
many
down.
hits.
Yeah.
I would say every boss in the game is a bit of a bullet sponge. Um, however, the human bosses, Jack and the Joker, um, they actually have weak points on them. So
Yeah.
if you actually shoot them in the head with your spear gun, you can actually do more damage to the actual boss. Now, this game suffers from something that Mo knows I hate a ton. It doesn't have any boss bars on there or boss health bars, and it drives
Right.
me nuts. Any game that doesn't have boss health bars just absolutely pisses me off. Um, I want to know how close I am to the goddamn boss being dead. Yeah, so, in this
It is
game,
useful, yeah.
doesn't have it. So like when you're sitting there laying bullets into the Joker or Jack Napier and he ain't dying after 5 minutes of putting bullets into him, you go to think, am I actually doing damage to him? Because he doesn't blink, he doesn't do anything when you shoot him. He's just there, so you don't know if you're hurting him or not. So like, hey, Sunsoft, I know you're not a thing anymore, but but boss health bars would be great next time. Hot fix
Please
it.
patch.
Give me the DLC, please. Thank you. Um, so, um, so yeah, I mean, but these enemies in the shmup section do not have, as far as I know, and as far as the speedrunning community knows, there is no weak point to these bosses. So you have to play kind of perfect.
Right.
Then we go into everyone's favorite world, World 4. This is where the difficulty of the game really ramps up. This is where you take everything that you've learned and collected and lose it all. Pretty quick.
Pretty much.
So, as you progress through 4-1 isn't all that bad. It's fairly similar to the first two worlds. You're not in a rush. You're sitting there collecting things. The problem with this world now is that you're starting to get different types of enemies. Not so much human type of enemies, but now you have like robots and stuff coming at you, and toys and things that can shoot through walls, and it becomes a bit more. You don't have the luxury of I can shoot through a wall, so I can't be hurt anymore. Now these things can start shooting through walls, so now the walls just don't protect you. If you take a certain path, like there's hidden holes in the floor that can take you down to the bottom path of the floor, and sometimes the corridors are too tight to make a jump over a pit, and you have to either A, be real lucky with your coyote timing, or B, you're just gonna fall in the pit and die. So some of the jumps now become very, very tight jumps, and thankfully Batman is really good at clipping onto the corners, so it helps out quite a bit. Then we get into everyone's favorite stage of the game.
Why did they do this?
This is by far the hardest stage in the game. 4-2.
I've seen people getting stuck here for hours.
Yeah.
Literal hours.
4-2 is an auto-scroller. And not just any auto-scroller. This auto-scroller is fast. It is not a slow auto-scroller. And the level design still follows the same design as the previous worlds. So World 1, 2, and 4-1, which means that there are blocks in your way that you need to shoot. There are tight jumps that you have to make, and there are enemies on said tight platforms that you need to kill before you can jump on them.
Yep.
All while trying to outrun the autoscroller. This stage is incredibly difficult. If you were to get stuck in this game, this is the stage you would get stuck in for a very long time. And in my opinion, this stage is pretty much near impossible if you have the wrong gun. If you have a gun that can't shoot through walls, find a gun that can shoot through walls. Because go ahead.
Luckily in 4-1 you can pick up the wave gun somewhere, which is probably your best. Well, it's not called. What was it called? I'm calling it the wave gun now. Oh no, it is called
the wave gun. Yeah.
I think that one is probably the best bet you have to get through this stage. So go pick that up.
If you happen to pick up the short gun or the shotgun, whatever you want to call it, there is the P gun. I call it the P gun. The P
gun is there. Yeah.
The power gun. You can pick it up pretty early on in 4-2, but it is a tight get because you're raced against the auto scroller, and it's something that you have to shoot backwards and run backwards for. And something that we didn't mention is that once you've broken a power-up block and collected it, some of those blocks don't come back until you game over.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. So 4-2 is a disaster case, and then halfway through 4-2 is nothing but small platforms to jump across. And all these platforms have little robot turrets on them that shoot at you. And they do
Yeah.
3 shots at any given time. So that means you either need to wait for the 3 shots or tank the 3 shots. Now, mind you, you have 4 hit points this entire time. And during this level, there are only maybe 2 hearts throughout the entire stage that you can
Yes.
collect. So not only do you have to worry about your health management now, but now you have to worry about, is it better to take the hit or is it better to wait and potentially die to the auto scroller? How far ahead am I on the stage versus how far behind I am on the stage? So 4-2 is an absolute gauntlet. So if you game over at all on the Joker fight or in 4-3 or whatever, you get to do 4-2 all over again.
Luckily,
Um,
there is no Fortree. It's just the
Luckily, you
Joker
just
fight.
go into the Joker fight. That's right.
Yeah. Well, luckily, that's
Wow.
seeing
The Joker fight's
depending
hard,
on how,
and the
yeah,
Joker fight is quite difficult too.
yeah. It's very similar to the Joker fight in the NES game, actually. At least the final part of it, like not
Yeah,
not the weird ninja robot guy that you fight before it that has absolutely nothing to do with the movie either. But it is kind of similar, but with guns instead of with your fists, I guess.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, the Joker fight, it isn't like it's not hard, but again, he takes a lot of hits to take down,
yeah.
so it might just start dragging you out. But like EBC said, like there is a weak point, which is the head, and if you can actually shoot the head, you do double damage, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, and you push the boss backwards, and he doesn't shoot back, so it is very useful to do so. But depending on how good you are with a certain gun, it might be harder or easier to actually use that gun for the fight. Even though the wave gun does have the ability to go up and down and is probably your best bet to use in 4-2, I think the wave gun is a horrible weapon to use in the Joker fight. I would actually say it's better to have the Batarang gun for
yep,
this one because it can do double hits if you position yourself correctly. But for me, I think the best gun to have in this situation is actually the P gun, the power gun that you can pick up in 4-2, because that thing is so big, like the bullet is so big that you cannot miss his
true.
hitbox. Um, so you're constantly doing double damage, and then this fight is over before you even realize it started. So, like the last time I played the game, which was like a week ago, I accidentally picked up the P gun and I had to get through 4-2 with it, which is not easy.
Nope.
Luckily, it can go through walls, but it's really not easy to take down the turrets in time. But I made it through it. I started the Joker fight. I used that gun, and it was yeah, it was just done. The game was done, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually a really good gun to
Yeah.
use in this situation. So, well, there's a quote unquote pro tip for you. Try using the P gun maybe if you can get through 4-2 with it. So,
Who needs Nintendo Power when you got this as Game Boy?
yeah, indeed.
But yeah, once you've defeated the Joker this time, and not Jack Napier, we did talk about this in between sections, but you do get little cutscenes in between
Right.
stages as well. And then the final cutscene is the Joker laying on the ground. They say defeated, but we all know what happened.
He is well, he is defeated, but
He is defeated. He is
forever.
defeated, but he ain't coming back. Let's just say that.
hmm
um, but the Joker is dead. And it shows the final, basically the final scene from the movie of the Joker laying on the street after the fall from the building.
hmm
Um, and then from there it rolls the Batman credits. Uh, with the bat signal going off into the corner and Batman kind of staring off into the distance. Kind of actually a really cool ending. And honestly, like the cutscenes themselves for being a 1990 game on the Game Boy, they're pretty damn good.
hmm
So uh, but yeah, you once you beat the Joker, get the final cutscene in the credits, you've beaten Batman. Not a terribly difficult game, but definitely poses a challenge if you're looking for a quick challenge.
Yeah, I think this is a game that when you first play it, you will have a lot of trouble with it. But like every time you play it afterwards, you'll be like, oh yeah, this is actually really cool. I can go really fast and things like that. So I've heard from a lot of people who like played this the first time were like, this game is impossible to. Oh my god, I love this game. It's so quick and so fun. So yeah, don't get scared if this is your first time playing this game. Like it has a lot to offer for its simplicity, actually, because it's a really simple game. But
Yeah, we put this game into the Tiny 10
I don't know which
many
one. But
many years ago at this point.
yeah.
I don't even know which one, but yeah, this Bo and I both played it relatively at the same time, and we both were like, "This game is good,"
Mhm.
and there were no speedruns for it at the time either. So, but like our casual playthroughs were sub hour, so we're like, the hardest stage is 4-2. If someone can figure out 4-2, then
Then you're good,
you're good to
basically. Yeah.
go. Yeah, and then we put it in a Tiny 10, and people figured out the headshots do double damage, and people found routes, and now there's a pretty nice routed speed run for the game now.
Mhm.
I still want people to go challenge the record of it, but I still think the game can be drastically improved. But um, very cool game, very easy speed run to get into as well too. There's no real glitches at all. It's a lot of it is just uh pure talent, honestly, just
Yeah.
pure gameplay. So but yeah. Let's talk about the box art real quick here. So the box art for the game on the Game Boy is literally the same box art as it is on the NES.
And the movie.
And the movie, and I believe the Genesis game as well.
I think so, yeah.
Um, so think of the Batman movie poster from 1980. That's when the movie come out, 88, 87.
Something like that, yeah.
It's Batman in gold trimmed all capital font with the Batman emblem embossed in gold. Then underneath that just says the video game. You can tell someone just added that in. So it's basically the movie poster from the OG Batman of Michael Keaton's OG Batman, and that's the cover
Yeah,
art. You don't need
that's it.
anything. You don't need anything special for it. Honestly, it works as is. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is all you need. Like, it doesn't have to be anything else. No.
And then yeah, I didn't have any trivia points for this game. Did you?
Yeah, I have one. There's actually
Oh yeah.
there are a few cheats in this game that you can try, like level select and things like that. But there's a really fun one you can use during the shmup section. I'm not going to explain it. It's very easy to put in. But basically, you can increase and decrease the speed that your the fire rate of your bullets. So if you put it to max, the shmup section becomes trivial. Like even the boss fights are over in 3 seconds because you're shooting so much. Like I took down the helicopter boss without him even getting into his second phase. So like for if you're playing it casually, maybe you have some issues during the shmup section. Just try and use that cheat code. Um,
Wow.
and everything will work out fine. It doesn't affect anything of the rest of the game. It's really just the fire rate of the Batwing. So I thought that was a pretty cool cheat. Like I've never really heard of a cheat like that in these old games, so I thought it was pretty cool.
Can you believe Mo is telling people to use cheat codes in a video game?
Very much.
Wow, that Batman record is old. 6 years ago at this point.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty old.
From Prissy.
Right.
Wow. All right. Well, with that, we're going to take another quick short break. When we come back, we'll give you our thoughts and history with Batman.
Now I can go get water.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'll be right back.
I lose internet? Sure did. All right. Well, I lost internet, so.
Oh, hooray!
we're tethered into my phone right now. So
Jesus.
We are tethered into my phone right now, so
Well,
this is gonna be a this will
well,
be a
luckily,
good time. Good thing we're almost done. At least we got
yeah,
the bulk
yeah,
of it like out of the way. So
true, and it was during the break, so that's
yeah, even better, even better.
yeah,
So
good timing, right?
this is why like I feel so bad all the time because it's like and it's like, oh, we need to restream. I'm like, I would love to restream this stuff for you, but like
Hmm.
my internet is so unreliable. I can't I can't volunteer to restream.
True.
I feel
Yeah.
so bad about it,
I'm just
but
not home never, so or asleep during those periods.
it's fair.
Yeah.
And luckily, the recording doesn't stop either when I lose internet, so there's still a
Yeah.
recording at least. So,
Good, good, good.
all right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Those
Yeah.
coming back from the internet outage and for those coming back from the break. Um, so yeah, diving back into Batman. Now that we talked about the game, we'll start with you, Mo. Thoughts, history with the game?
Yeah. Um, so I can't really remember if I ever played this as a kid, or later in life. Like I didn't have it. I'm pretty sure of that, but maybe I did play it over at a friend's house or something. I'm really not sure. But I have known this game for a long time. Um, but I think it's just before we did the Tiny 10 with it that I actually sat down and really played through it. Um, and yeah, knowing it for a long time, the music is also very familiar to me. Like, there are a lot of times where I just start humming the first stage music out of nowhere because it's just so ingrained into my mind, which happens with a lot of Sunsoft songs, to be honest, from that period. Like, there's the Blaster Master team and some other games like Habaraki. I don't know what it's called in. I always forget the name in Europe. Euphoria or something like that. Um, those are all tracks that once you've heard them, they're stuck in your mind forever, which is really great. So yeah, at least the game made an impact on me during some period. I like this game a lot for its simplicity, uh, but I don't really consider it a real Batman game, especially not with all the other Batman games that are out there. Uh, like this one doesn't have the Batman feel to it. Like the NES one and the Genesis one
Yeah.
feel like a Batman game. This feels like something else with Batman slapped onto it. But that's fine, you know. Like Journey to Silius, which we mentioned earlier, was actually supposed to be a Terminator game.
Yep.
Who hasn't heard that one before, right? But yeah, it's its own thing, but you can definitely see that it was supposed to be something else. I don't think this is the case with this one. I think they just went with what they knew uh, about making Game Boy games back then, so it doesn't really feel that much like a Game Boy game. And I grew up with Return of the Joker for Game Boy, and that one does feel like an actual Batman game. So. But yeah, it's just a fun game. I recommend it to everybody, and we can just all agree that it's based on the best Batman movie ever made. So
Yeah.
at least there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the NES version growing up. Obviously, like every Batman lover did.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because Batman is one of my favorite superheroes. I dog on him a lot just because I'm like I call him the rich superhero, right? It's like
Hmm.
his superpower is he has a lot of money. Um,
Yeah.
but he's Batman is probably by far my favorite superhero. Um, and so I had a bunch of Batman stuff growing up. I still have a lot of Batman stuff even as an adult. So
Hmm.
Batman was very much my go-to, especially the Michael Keaton Batman. Like growing up, like Michael Keaton was Batman, and
Right.
in my opinion, the best Batman we've had so far in a theater. So, um, with that though, like I never played any of the Batman Game Boy games until uh until my adult life, when I started doing
Mhm.
Game Boy Adventure and digging around with Game Boy stuff with Mo and the Game Boy community. Um, Batgun was the first Batman game that I played on Game Boy, and very much like what Mo was talking about, it doesn't feel like a Batman game simply because like Jack and the Joker fights are literally the same fight.
The same fight, yeah.
Um, and like there's no other villains that you fight in the game. It's literally just Jack Napier and the Joker. There's no Scarecrow. There's no, well, obviously there would be no Penguin yet, but you know, because that came later on. But like there's no none of that at all. Like there's no like seeds of fighting like Joker's goons. Like they could have had like a boss stage, so to speak, of fighting like Joker's goons in an alleyway or something. Like it just didn't feel like a Batman game. It just felt like
Yeah.
a simple platform shooter game that that mimicked a very similar engine to Super Mario Land, which again, not a bad thing. Super Mario Land is a great game, and honestly, for being a 1990 platform shooter game, I'll take it. It's still very early in the Game Boy life cycle, and later on we get fantastic Batman games in the Game Boy library. Like we get Batman the
Mhm.
animated series, which is still probably top 3 Game Boy games for me. Still, it's hard as balls, but it's a very good game. Um, Return of the Joker is an incredible game as well too for the Game Boy. Even Batman Forever is moderately okay for the Game Boy. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's one of the better versions of that game.
yeah, yeah, it's one of the better versions of the game for sure. So like, even with this, like I still take it. You know, I'll play it. I played it last week, and overall, yeah, it's a game slapped with Batman on it with a sprite that mimics Batman, but it's not a noir feel, dark dungy, dark grungy Batman game that we all live to want. So, but again, I'm okay with that. So,
Mhm. Indeed. Yeah.
but yeah, beyond that, we have retro achievements for the game. I know you're into that kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does have a list, which sadly is only half a good list. The first half of this list of retro achievement is literally play the game. So you get an achievement for beating every stage in the game. So that's great. You get an achievement for picking up every different weapon in the game. You get one for getting 100,000 points and one for 200,000 points. So I mean, pretty standard fare when it comes to those achievements. But then you get to the rest, which is literally play the game without ever getting hit once. Uh, luckily stage based, so not play through the entire game without getting hit once. But yeah, literally every stage and every boss fight has an achievement tied to it for you getting through it without ever taking damage. And no, just
no,
no, no. I'm not. No, no. We're not gonna do that. At least I'm not gonna do that. And if you want to do that, good luck. It's
no,
gonna take a while.
no, I do not want to do that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Game does have a pretty decent leaderboard to it. It has 15 runs on it. Old runs, the most recent run being from a year ago. Uh, but the world record is probably one of the older world records for Game Boy in general. Prissy holds the record right now at 10 minutes and 52 seconds. This was 6 years ago. So this is a pretty old record, and they even comment that the game can or the run can be improved.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely would love to see more people throw some time at the game for sure. And it's a short game. I mean, 11-minute run, pretty average, pretty short for Game Boy.
Yeah.
So.
It's nothing.
But I beyond, like I said, like there's no glitches, there's no crazy things to learn. It's the biggest thing is knowing headshots on bosses, so being good at head shooting on Jack and Joker, knowing where the appropriate power ups and weapons are, and getting through 4-2. Like those are the three biggest things right there. So 4-2 is probably the biggest roadblock of it all, honestly.
Yeah, it will always be casual or speedrun wise.
True. So but yeah, I don't see there's any resources. I doubt it.
I don't think so. No.
There's not even a guide for it, so hate to be that guy. Yeah, same. I just went to the forum. It's one of the first things. Is hate to be that guy, but so
All right.
but yeah, go watch the first couple. Go watch the top runs and kind of check it out if you're interested in it. Like I said, pretty short run, about we'll say a 15-minute estimate, and go learn some bat gun.
Indeed.
All right. Well, we're not going to take another break. We're just going to dive right into other shenanigans that we got going on here. Let me pull up the shenanigan chart here. So, yeah, community events related to the Game Boy, if any way possible. So, being a part of RGL, there's a lot of stuff happening with RGL. So after this, 1 p.m. Eastern today, RGL is putting on the Nescathlon reveal race. So I'm actually pretty stoked to see what games are going to be in the Nescathlon. That reveal race happens pretty much after this episode. And then next month is Ninja Leiden. So next month is all ninjas all the time. Which means that we may see some Ninja Gaiden Shadow along the line, along with a Ninja Gaiden of a sort, one night only tournament. Since we've been doing those monthly now. We also on our RGL do retro race nights every Friday night, and I know that I've been getting DMs, quite a bit of DMs about Game Boy games and short goals for said Game Boy games. So if you're wanting to get into the Game Boy stuff, definitely come check out retro race nights at RGL. I've already put in some choice games that people I know would for sure love, like Beavis and Butthead and Home Alone 2.
Great.
So come definitely check that out. And then obviously we have a bunch of other episodes going through the week. So every other week, every other Tuesday is RGL Sports Night. So these are going to be like football, baseball, wrestling, things like that, which the Game Boy, oddly enough, had a ton of sports games on it. So maybe some night there might be a Game Boy Sports Night going on a Tuesday evening. And then every other Tuesday that's not the sports night is golf with Flannel Cat and Vadi. And then every Monday night is Monday randomizers. And there is a Link's Awakening DX randomizer. Just saying, that might make an appearance. It's actually a pretty damn good randomizer as well. There's Pokemon randomizer. There's a randomizer for everything out there nowadays, so let's just be fair. There's not a Dreamland randomizer yet, but I'd just wait for it. What else we got going on? Every Wednesday night is the Sequence Break podcast with Lat Mackey. Where his focus is a lot on the speedrun orientation of the game. So he gets the speedrunners of the game or the series, talk about the game, talk about the speedrun, talk about the origin of the speedrun, what got them into the game, etc. Awesome podcast, very good listen, very good watch. His production value is well beyond ours. So, I watched one of his episodes. I'm like, oh my god, he has things that spin and move. I'm like, what is happening? Like, wow. So there's definitely that coming up this year. We have a lot more stuff coming up in July. Let me pull up the July calendar here real quick. So
Yeah.
so in
Plus,
July
we did an episode with Lad as well. The
we
bonk
did Bonk
episode. So
episode. Yeah.
go check that one out. That was really fun.
It was something. So yeah, July 1st, which is a Saturday, a couple Saturdays from now, maybe next Saturday, I don't know. July 1st, at 1 p.m. Eastern is the Bobby Bonilla Day, which is Baseball Stars 2 Vonot. So definitely come check that out, be a part of that. And at 4 or 5, 6 p.m. Eastern, I have to do time zone conversions in my head on the fly right now. 6 p.m. Eastern is Sega Rings of Champions first event, so definitely come and watch those. And then in July it will be July 14th, the 16th. Get your ninjas ready. Shinobi, Ninja Gaiden, Ninja Spirit, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not Hero Turtles. Sorry, Europe, you can't be a part of this. Uh, and then Sega Rings of
Batman is
Champions.
technically a ninja.
Yeah, it's true. He
Technically,
is technically, yeah.
yeah.
The Sega Rings of Champions Race 2 Shinobi series will be. Oh, that's in August. We're getting ahead of ourselves now. That's too far down the line for us to even think about at this point. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of things going on with RGL. So please stay tuned. Come check it out. Come join the Discord. There's plenty of things happening all the time. Everyone's real friendly. People love talking about video games, sports, wrestling, you name it. Right now, right this second, if you're watching this live, even though we do have the next Cathlon at 1 p.m., Power Up with Pride is also running their summer marathon right now, which I believe ends today or tonight rather. So I was watching that a little bit last night, and yeah. What else we got going on? There's so much stuff that happens in the summertime. ESA summer is quickly approaching. I don't know what their game list looks like at all because I don't really keep track of ESA very much since I don't live in Europe.
I assume a lot of PC games, like always.
Probably. But ESA is starting up July 22nd. It will be ending July 29th. Obviously, it's an on event. It's an on event in Sweden. And let's see what. So hard to find their. Do they not have games ready yet?
I'm not sure.
Schedule release June 11th. It's June 25th. So
maybe they're a bit behind. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. So we got Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land.
Ooh.
Which is opening ESA.
Wow.
There you go. That'll be ran by Big John. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. Opening day. Ran by Rocks. Let's see here. Don't care about Wind Waker. Cards, Lego, Sonic, Castlevania, Mega Man 3. So there's a little bit of Mega Man blocks and Mega Man 3 by Cool Kid and Prissy will be running on.
That's great.
Second day, it looks like. Oh, eyes are watery. Allergies. Oh, beyond that, on that, yeah. Oh, they're playing MC Kids. Oh my god. Let's see here. Well, they're playing Batman the video game. Probably the NES. There we go. Probably the NES version, since Dexter and Indy are part of it. But
yep.
Let's see here. You can definitely watch the NES version of the game. Oh, there's games to the side over here. I didn't even notice these.
True. Yes.
Their layout's so dumb. Sorry, but the layout is just hot garbage. Pokemon White. Like, is there a way just to like? Oh, okay, of course not. ESA makes things way too complicated. Star Tropics, Karnov, Maniac Mansion. Let's see. Oh, I think we might. A Pokemon Emerald. So if you're into Pokemon, there's a couple Pokemon games. I don't even know where I'm at anymore. Here we go. GTA 5, Elden Ring, GTA 3, Metal Gear Solid, Pokemon trading card game. The Game Boy Color game. Oh. Yeah. Well, we got a Game Boy game to open up ESA at least, so
Yeah, that is already
I mean,
amazing. So, what more can you ask
what
for?
more could you ask for? But I mean, there's some hit. I mean, the list itself actually looks really good. There's definitely a lot of mix of PC and console games, which honestly it's kind of rare from what I see because typically ESA is pretty heavy PC.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of console games going on. Definitely a pretty good list of games, so definitely want to check that out. And I think their charity of choice is, oh, I cannot pronounce that. It's the Swedish Alzheimer's Foundation.
Yes.
I can't pronounce the actual name. It's like Alzheimer Fondant or something like that. I have no idea.
Yes.
Is that it? Oh my god, I could be European right now, boys. Let's go. I don't even need to take the immigration test. Just let me in. Not yet though. It's too hot over there. I'll wait for it to cool down.
Right.
Because y'all don't believe in AC over there.
Nope.
All right. There's probably a 1,000 more events and marathons that are happening as well too. I know Midwest Speed Fest is going to be up and spinning here soon with their upcoming marathon. There's Speedy Fist. There's so many. Big Bad Game-a-thon just got announced for this year. I know Brascentia just tweeted that out. So there's so much stuff happening in the summertime. Honestly, the biggest thing I can tell you is just keep your eyes open on Twitter. You know, maybe have like a little search thingy that looks up like speedrun marathons or something, and
yeah,
keep your eye out on that. Reddit apparently is a big place for these marathons to get talked about, rather. There we go. So definitely keep your eyes open for that. Like I said, there's a plethora of marathons that are going to be coming, and I'm not going to be able to hit all of them at all. So
I'll be surprised if I can even catch half, like half of one run or something.
So I live in the Midwest, and I've gone to Midwest Speed Fest once, and I live 20 minutes away from the venue. So I mean, it just tells you just how busy you get. So yeah, with that, listener questions. So I don't think we have any questions at all.
We do not have any questions, no. Like, everybody basically knows this game.
Oh. Yeah, it's a pretty popular Game Boy game at this point. All right, well, here comes our very scripted outro. That
very scripted.
We never mess up. If you have any thoughts and suggestions about the podcast, aside from my internet cutting out, which I can't fix, so deal with it. if any thoughts and suggestions for the podcast, we'd love to hear it. Uh, Positive, negative, neutral. We'd love to hear it all. We want to make the podcast as best as we can for you all and for us. We love getting the information out. We love spreading the word of Game Boy games, and just hanging out with you all and chatting, BS, and uh, being here. You can find me, eBloodyCandy, on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yeah. Where can I
Yeah.
find you, Mo?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, all slash Moelle, which is written Moelleuh. Mm. I'm not very active on anything anymore, to be honest, but I'm there. I mean, sometimes I post stuff.
I have an Instagram
Yeah.
that I haven't posted to in like a year, so I mean, you could
Right.
go to that too. But
Mhm,
um,
mhm.